I want to talk about Secrets of My Success. This is a show that you've been working on for some time, I know, because you've been telling me about some of the people you're speaking with. I was watching your program this afternoon. You start the episode with one-time male stripper Billy Cross, and I'll get to your visit at that strip event in Las Vegas in a moment. Here's what Billy Cross told you, though, about the incredible way he got his marketing plan put together for him by an American television program.
I get this call, I swear to you, like 4 days later. Hey, it's the producer from the Phil Donahue Show. We love what you're doing. We love your show. It's all about female empowerment. We want to fly you to New York, and we want to do a whole episode on Manpower Australia. He's got an audience of female having hens nights, where they call them bachelorettes in America. So the opening line, Phil Donahue goes, "Welcome on stage, Manpower Australia, the thunder from down under." And I've gone, bopping.
Here is the thunder from down under, Manpower Australia.
Trademark.
It's a case of being in the right place at the right time, Ross, and taking that phone call and not thinking it's some sort of hoax and going and doing that show, and the rest is history by the look of it.
Well, it's so true. Phil Donahue at that time was bigger than Oprah, there's no doubt. But the irony of it, and part of the story that we'll tell you, is that 4 days earlier, he was in jail in Canada. He'd been locked up because he'd misbehaved there. And that's not a bad story also as to how he got out, thinking he basically destroyed everything that he built up. And so this is, you know, a young fellow who left home in Liverpool, basically the southwest suburbs of Sydney, didn't have a Zach to his name, the son of migrant families, Greek migrants. He went to the Gold Coast, and he really was just finding work, but also just trying to get out of Liverpool, and then eventually was convinced to start taking his clothes off. As he says, at the time he had a bit of a rig on him, so he didn't mind so much, but eventually he had to give up the dancing, had to give up the body image thing, because the business simply got so big. And that business, the Thunder from Down Under, I would suggest to you, is better known in America than it is here in Australia, because it is quite phenomenal, the success of Billy Cross. 22 years on the strip in Las Vegas. They've got the keys to the city that Elvis got, and so many other great acts got as well. And so this is the reason why this is, you know, not only an Australian success story, as we say, it's also an American success story as well.
I love how you dig out those rags to riches story on the Vegas Strip for 22 years. You also, you know, I'm a V8 supercar fan. I'm a big petrol head. You talked to Betty Clemenko. Now, she's got an incredible story. As we know, she was born to a King's Cross sex worker. She was then adopted by John Saunders. Now, John Saunders, tell us who John Saunders was and how Betty Clemenko's gone from that tough upbringing to owning what is at the moment the most successful V8 supercar franchise going around.
It is phenomenal, this story. So the secret here, I think, is being in the right place at the right time, which, you know, every V8 supercar driver really understands that it is split-second timing. In this case, it was absolutely split-second, because after she'd been born, you know, unfortunate circumstances, her mum a prostitute, a heroin addict as well, had to give her up for adoption by complete coincidence, looking for a child at that time. And here was this little blonde-haired bouncing baby in the hospital who was Betty, John Saunders, who was Frank Lowy's partner when they created Westfield in Australia. And so she grew up, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. She got chucked out of the house. There was all sorts of dramas that went on along the way, which is a cracking story. But as you say, I mean, if you go to any V8 supercars event, and I know you're a big fan, you know, you see Betty Clemenko, there's a crowd of people around her. She is literally the rock star in the pit lane. She signs the autographs. She's great with the kids, looks after them. And here she is. She's a pocket rocket. She's, you know, in old scale, I think barely 5 foot tall, got the tattoos, got the diamonds all over, the shock of blonde hair is there. She's an absolute, so her story is also a cracking story to tell.
She's an absolute legend. Now, given I'm a mate of yours, I've heard some of these tales along the way while you've been putting this together. This show sounds fantastic. Debuts, I think, on Sunday on Sky News at 8 o'clock. Knowing you, it will be absolutely brilliant. Those stories are great. I'll catch up with you soon, my friend.